Hey, Steve Stine from GuitarZoom here. And there are many times when you're going to solo that you come across a song or a jam track or something that is really in major, and the solo needs to be in major. Oftentimes, we get so used to playing minor pentatonic over everything, because that's one of the first things that we learn how to do, that we don't realize that we're missing out on a lot of effective melody that can happen when using a major scale. Now, this jam track that I'm using right now, all I'm doing is playing an A, okay? And then I'm just going to use this seventh a little bit in there. Just those two tonalities, so no chord changes or anything. But because of that, because I'm using this A major and then moving to this A7, the major sounds really nice. So what you could do at the very least is you could use just A major pentatonic over the top of this, and it's going to sound really good. Now, let me show you something, though. I'm going to play it again. I'm going to play just a little bit of this. Now, there's nothing wrong with using that scale. It's going to work out great for you. But what I want you to think about a little bit is trying to learn how, especially when you're in major, trying to learn how to target some of the notes of the chord a little bit, okay? And I do this, I talk all about this in a course I have, which focuses on guitar soloing, kind of the cheater's perspective of understanding when to use what. If you're in a situation with this kind of rhythm, or this key, or these chords, what scale would be best suited for that particular situation so you don't grab the wrong thing? So it's a really good course for learning how to do some things like that. Okay, there are obvious things, and then there are less obvious things where sometimes you might grab the wrong thing. And again, in my years of teaching students, a lot of times I find that everybody just tends to gravitate to minor for everything, minor pentatonic, for instance. And I'm not saying that there aren't times that it's going to be great, it's going to be perfect. But there are other times where you might want to try something else. So in this perspective, if you were using the major pentatonic, what's going to bump up your game a little bit is to start trying to target the notes of the chord. Now, you might know the notes of an A major chord. For instance, they are A, C sharp, and E. And you might know those notes across your fretboard. You might not, though. You might just be able to visualize the chords, and that's okay, too. Like, let's say, for instance, our A major chord is right here, which it is, right? So we can visualize that this is an A, right? Or these are, let me even leave the notes out just for a second. We can visualize the shape, right? So those are notes that we could target to create melody within the context of our solo, okay? Now again, the soloing concept goes down this deep rabbit hole, right? There's a million different things that we can do, but grabbing the right scale is the first step to success, right? So as we're playing this solo, what we want to do is we want to try and target those notes. Now, if you know the notes A, C sharp, and E, and you know your theory and you know them across your fretboard, you can go to those anytime you want. Now, this is actually using the seventh as well in the chord, which is G. Now, don't let that scare you. It's also using the note G. So we could add that note into the sound of our scale as well, okay? So what I want to show you real quick here is if I just used a major pentatonic over the top of this, but I tried to target the notes that make up the chord just a little bit, it's going to start sounding a little bit more authentic. See? So that's the first step. Now, the second thing I'd want to do, if I can, if you know the next level up, which is the diatonic from the pentatonic, what I'm actually going to be using here, I'm going to explain this for you two different ways. And again, I don't ever want you to feel like I don't know the notes on my fretboard, so I can't do this, or I don't know my theory, so I can't do this, because that's not true. I'm not saying it's bad. Of course, it's wonderful if you know all that. But if you don't, you can still use your eyes and your ears to help you across your fretboard. So if we know major pentatonic, we can play that in all the positions and try and think about utilizing the A, the C sharp, and the E, or the shapes of the A major, trying to target those notes, or A major here. And again, my second position of major pentatonic is right here, right? So I might be using that. And again, looking to target those notes of that A major, right? Here's me in the second position now. See, it's creating this melody. What's going to bring it to the next level, though, is really to start utilizing the note, the seventh, the dominant seventh, which is that G. So that's the next thing for us to really start looking at. Now, the beauty of this is we just need to add it in. You can already hear how cool that sounds. So that sound right there, which is up here as well. So now I'm going to play the major pentatonic again. And I'd like you to do the same thing. If you've got your guitar handy, I'm going to use major pentatonic, but I'm just going to start utilizing that note. And notice how nice that note sounds over the top of this. See what I mean? It's called, what I refer to as a color tone. It's a really nice note that is not part of the chord, the standard chord, the root, third, and fifth. And when you add that note in, all of a sudden, it takes that pentatonic and it kind of blows it up. It sounds really great. Now, if you know your Mixolydian scale, you can keep going and you can play the whole scale and all that sort of thing. But I would still try and emphasize these primary notes, the root, the third, the fifth, and then, of course, the seventh, which is G. And again, all this stuff we talk about in the course. So it's worth taking a look at if you ever have any problem with when to use what. You're in a situation, you've got this scale, or excuse me, this chord progression, but you're not sure which scale would be perfect over the top. This course could certainly help you with that. And please just utilize this lesson to try and better yourself with, you know, a major situation and being able to use the right scale at the right time. So take care, practice hard, and I'll talk to you soon.